So our kabayan, Pablo Torre, paring
Oh,
Pablo Torre,
yes.
pro, as we
Paring
expected,
Pablo. Uh-huh.
he dropped another episode of his Clipper saga
Uh,
investigation. I think a couple of
right.
days ago, if I'm not
Mm,
mistaken. So, long story short, the Clippers have recruited Kawhi Leonard even when he was with the Spurs.
mm,
What they did was they hired his personal trainer in
mm,
order to have a line with Kawhi. So they've been tampering for a while.
right.
And I mean, you can't get any. In the topic of cap circumvention, there's no bigger smoking gun than Kawhi's uncle opening multiple LLCs the same time around when Kawhi signed with the
Right.
Clippers.
Oof.
That 2021 deal where he
Right.
took max less money.
Yep.
In 2024 when he took less money as
Mm,
well. So
right.
I mean, are we convinced that Clippers really messed up here? Is that
Oh
what we're
yeah.
saying?
Yeah. I mean, Paring Pablo did the dirty work and did the one thing that investigative journalists have to do in order to kind of, open up a can of worms like this, which is to follow the money, follow the paper trail. And he did just that. And, it is safe to say that the Clippers screwed up big time on this, because, like, there is going to be some paper trail involved, and sooner or later, someone's going to find out.
I mean that's what Pablo did
Yeah.
exactly. He found out. That's what he
Yeah.
does, right? So it's I think this is just a situation wherein Palmer and his friends just didn't expect someone to look this way.
Yeah.
And the fact that the funny thing that triggered this whole thing was the aspiration CEO being uh, uh a same graduate of where Pablo Torre went to school.
Right.
That's how we found out about it
Yeah.
and just followed the money from there
Yeah.
and found this whole trail of side deals,
Mhm.
tampering, cap circumvention. I mean, it's pretty obvious that the Clippers definitely circumvented the cap.
Yep.
I mean, allegedly, but I mean, come on, man. Let's
Come
be
on.
honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty obvious what they did, right? They
Yeah.
tampered to get Kawhi,
Yep.
and they paid him under the table to circumvent the salary cap, so they can pay more. That's just
Exactly.
what it is. And
That's what it is. Yeah.
the scary part about this is that I'm pretty sure that teams are able to do something like this, but not to this extent
Mhm.
because of Palmer's just deep pockets.
Right.
The question now becomes, how will Adam Silver? They're doing their investigation now, and I don't expect them to have a decision until after the All Star break. Well, that's like
Right.
a couple days ago.
Yeah.
But since the All Star the thing is the All Star game is going to be played in the same arena owned
Right.
by the guy you're investigating right now.
Right.
So they're not gonna have a decision until
Yeah.
after that.
Right.
For you, how would Adam Silver handle this situation? If just to be fair to everybody else.
Mm. Yeah. So I think first things first is you're gonna have a decision right after the All Star break. Definitely. You don't want that stench filling of the Intuit Dome on the All Star game. you know. Second, how Adam Silver is gonna respond to this. Okay, granted that he pretty much came down hard on Donald Sterling. Back when those recordings of him being
Horrible
being
recordings,
a
by the way. I mean
yeah
that was well deserved.
being a horrible person that he is. He came down hard on Donald Sterling, and I think the question is, what does coming down hard mean for the Clippers? Does it mean that they're gonna lose like 5 years worth of draft picks, or is Kawhi's contract gonna be null and void? My thing is, I think they're gonna lose some. They're gonna lose some draft picks. But the thing is, though, we mentioned this back when we first talked about this whole scandal. Is that they don't have any draft picks to begin with. So that kind of gives us a little bit of a question mark as to what is gonna be. There's gotta be something that will be there's gonna be something that will there's gonna be some sort of consequence in a sense. So now, granted, they don't have draft picks for like 3 years. Then maybe take out another five. I think that's what Adam Silver's gonna do.
I mean, you gotta come down hard to Clippers
Yeah,
for this one,
yeah,
right? And there's just no way because
mhm,
look, what Donald Sterling did was horrible.
yeah.
What Steve Ballmer did was horrible.
Mhm.
They're two different things, obviously,
Very
but
different things. Yep.
right, the impact of those two things are similar in my opinion.
Mhm.
Okay, number one, you don't want a racist, an open racist,
Yeah.
owning a team in a league where minorities are the majority.
Mhm. Yeah. And
You're trying to market it to a global audience.
he did come down hard on the Suns owner too, right? The former owner of the Suns.
Robert Sarver.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I don't recall that
yeah,
too
yeah.
much. But the point is, right? You don't want that racist there. Okay, that's something you don't want in a league that's fully
Absolutely.
globalized
Yeah.
with so many international players. That's not something you want there.
Right.
Number one, but at the same time, you don't want anyone skirting the rules as well. Sure, everyone's tampered, right? That's not a new thing. People tamper all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, look, I mean, look, that's why the Lakers got KCP and overpaid him.
Yeah.
Remember, the Lakers gave KCP a
Mhm.
1-year overblown contract
Mm-hmm.
because they wanted to recruit LeBron James.
Right.
That's part of the game, right?
Mhm.
But what cap circumvention is a guardrail to make sure that teams are on somewhat of a level playing field.
Mhm.
Because anyone can come in. I mean, look at what MLB does. Your Dodgers, right?
Mhm.
Look what someone with deep pockets can do.
Yep.
They can just get every player that they want
Right.
without consequence.
Yeah.
I'm not saying baseball is bad or whatever, but you don't. What cap circumvention is designed to do is to prevent that kind of situation where
Right. Mhm.
you just pay to win, basically.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't want to say that. You want to
Mhm.
pay to get the best team,
Right.
right? You want a situation wherein you have some sort of bounds with how teams can spend their money.
Right.
Number one, it prevents the richer teams from having an advantage.
Mhm.
Number two, it helps the less fortunate teams so they can compete.
Right.
So this is what's good with Formula One now.
Yeah.
Is because of what their regulations are, the spending regulations.
Yep.
They've made it such a way that it's a lot more exciting to watch.
Mhm.
I mean, you still got the good teams.
Right.
There's a lot of separation there,
Mhm.
but the results are a lot more variable now.
Yeah.
Back then, in like 2004, it's one of the most um one of the most dominating seasons,
Mhm.
right? So when Schumacher won in 2004,
Right.
right? That car was just insane. Okay, they won 13 out of the 18 races that year.
Man.
All right, so it's Ferrari just won it. They won the team in general
Mhm.
won 15 of the 18 races that year.
Wow.
That's one of the best cars
Right.
ever.
Yeah.
Ever made in F1 history. Okay, so that's just
They went 1 and 2, right? Schumacher and Barrichello that year.
Barrichello.
Yeah.
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 So that team was just so dominant
Yeah.
because Ferrari could spend whatever they want.
Yeah.
You mean you already had the best driver,
Mm.
but now you have the best car, bar none.
Mhm.
No one had a chance of beating them that year.
Right.
They were just too strong. Right? That's something that you want to avoid in team sports.
Yep.
So that's what the salary cap is for in the NBA.
Mhm.
Now you have an owner in Steve Ballmer who, by all means, right, by all evidence that's presented, most likely put in money in these LLCs that Uncle
Mm-hmm.
Dennis set up
Right.
in order to pay Kawhi
Mm-hmm.
under the table so that it doesn't count against the salary cap,
Yeah.
which is what it's designed to be.
Right.
So if Adam Silver had any balls, then I don't want Steve Ballmer banned from the league. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want that.
Yeah.
I think he's good. He's a fan who's rich,
He's great. Yeah. Yeah.
right? It just so happens that he's loaded. That's our
Yeah.
dream, man. That's like, as fans, your dream is owning an NBA team. This is a
Yep.
guy who's passionate about this team,
Yep.
but you got to keep him in check.
Yeah.
You have to punish this Clippers team with draft picks. You have to at least void Kawhi's contract. Number one,
Right.
you have to punish them with multiple draft picks. So they won't be able to draft until
Mhm.
2040 or something crazy
Right.
like that. That's just what it is. You have to do the time
Mm.
because you did the crime.
Yep.
So if Adam Silver cares about the integrity of the league, then he has to come down hard on the Clippers. Bar none. That's just what needs to happen if he wants to keep the illusion that
Mhm.
the NBA is not rigged.
Yeah.
All right. Now talking about rigged. During the trade deadline, the funny thing happened.
Uh-huh.
A funny thing happened. So we all thought that Giannis Antetokounmpo was gonna get traded
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
on the trade deadline just
Right.
because of all the statements that are coming out from Giannis himself, from the team,
Right.
from Shams, from
Mhm.
everyone, essentially thinking that he's gonna get traded.
Mhm.
Now, of course, what we know happened was he stayed in Milwaukee. He's gonna be there. I think he has another couple of years in his contract.
Right.
But the interesting thing that happened was that after the trade deadline has passed, Giannis announced that he was a shareholder, or he just joined
Mm.
as a shareholder of the prediction market Kalshi.
Oh.
Are you familiar with how this
Yeah.
works?
Mm.
Right, so it's essentially a betting platform.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Kalshi, Polymarket, all those, all these, platforms.
Yeah, so it's basically a betting market,
Mm.
right? It is what it is. People bet on stuff, win
Yeah.
money. I mean, I'll put some money on
Mm.
I'll put some money on the U.S. presidential elections as
Yeah.
well. A couple years
Yeah.
ago, you know. Look, I'm not here to lecture. We're not here to lecture people on how you spend your money. It's your money, man. You
Mm.
just
Yeah.
use how you want. But
Yeah.
here's the thing about this. I hope people realize how much of a conflict of interest this is.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What Giannis essentially did was he just teased people for days that he was going to leave. He was going to get traded, all this good stuff. So what happened? People start putting money on that,
Right.
right? You can go to these prediction markets and put money on if Giannis leaves or not.
Mm-hmm.
And he announces after that he's staying. And he's part of this market that you just bet on.
Right.
It's how different is that from John Tay Porter or
Yeah.
Terry Rozier
Terry Rozier, yeah.
tanking their stats because they bet on the under.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Now, Giannis is part of Kalshi. You got LeBron James, part of DraftKings,
Mm.
another betting market. You got Kevin Durant, sponsored by FanDuel,
Mhm.
another betting market.
Right.
What do you think about this? What's going on here?
Okay. All right. The NBA has to really, set some hard rules and regulations on this type of, on these types of partnerships. Kalshi, these, DraftKings, FanDuel, these are betting platforms that they okay, you make money based on the outcomes of these games. So there has to be a fine line instituted by the NBA with these types of partnerships. If you're a player, you absolutely cannot and should not be a partner of these types of platforms, because you are a mover as an NBA player. You obviously you're a mover, and your play determines the outcome of a game. And so these types of platforms which make money on outcomes of games, there should be a line where players are cannot and should not be partners with these types of companies, because it ruins the integrity of the game. It um it's a slap in the face to fans. I mean, be, like I said, we're not telling people how to spend their money. If you want to bet, fine. I've done sports betting too, but it is a slap in the face of fans who respect the integrity of the game, who just want to watch sports for the fun of it, and just want to see their home teams do well in their respective sports. So there should be a fine line, not just in the NBA, but for professional sports. Any type any type of professional sports where the players cannot be partners with these types of companies, bar none.
Yeah, it's just a big
Yeah,
conflict of interest, man.
yeah.
I mean, if Adam Silver cares about the integrity, just like if he cares about the cap circumvention,
Mhm.
he has to do something about this.
Yeah.
I think we talked before that of that scandal that broke in the UFC where
Right.
a guy just was selling insider secrets for betting and all that stuff, and he got investigated. A trader. He's no longer associated with the UFC.
Mhm.
I think they have a rule in place that you can't even bet on these things.
Mhm.
So I don't want to use the UFC as an example. They're
Right.
one of the more messed up orgs right there when it comes to regulation and whatnot. But yeah, I agree. I mean, look, you punished Tim Donaghy for the same thing here.
Yeah.
What he did was Tim Donaghy was giving insider information to earn bets
Right.
and affecting the games based on his calls.
Right.
How different is that from what KD and LeBron are doing here?
Yeah.
And Giannis, obviously.
Mhm.
There is no. You can have all the sponsors you want. You can have sports betting sponsor your shows, your games, whatnot. That's not the point.
Mhm.
But these players cannot be involved with those entities at all
Mhm.
if you want to preserve the integrity of these games.
Right.
I mean, if you wanna admit that the whole game is rigged, then go for it, man.
Yeah.
But if we want to watch these games because there's a certain excitement to it that, you know what, David can beat Goliath,
Mhm.
or this team can win the championship because they're constructed this way. We want those variables in place. If you sports betting impact on sports has been so negative nowadays. It's just this is just taking it to a whole different level
Yeah.
because you cannot have these players affecting these markets
Yeah.
directly. There's no
Mhm.
way, right? So, look, I hope they do some regulation here eventually. This was horrible. This was a horrible look for Giannis. I don't think he won a lot of fans
Yeah.
during his trade
Right.
deadline
Yeah.
season.
So looking at this article from there's this article from Dan Wetzel. It's like from ESPN. It says, yeah, Giannis and Kalashi deal does the NBA no favors. And it says here, and this is why I question this whole thing. It says here, under the NBA's collective bargaining agreement, Antetokounmpo is allowed to endorse and make small equity investments in sports betting companies, which is how the league treats prediction markets. Why? You know, like
There
yeah,
has to be a limit. You can
yeah,
endorse whatever you want.
right.
So what's different than what's different if players endorse drugs or something like that or
Mhm.
medication or whatnot? What's the difference there?
Yeah.
Right? And you don't want this in the game. You don't want this in the game.
Hmm.
It's the game is cooked when you're talking about, oh, they're trying to affect the odds. That's why they're trying to score a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
We shouldn't be talking about that,
No, no, no.
right? But the fact that the matter is that's happening now, and this this lax enforcement is part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just what's the difference of what what's the difference of having these betting platforms in rampant in the league compared
Mm-hmm.
to, I mean, they don't want to endorse alcohol. They don't want to
Right.
do all these things.
Mm.
The NBA has to have a stand here,
Yeah.
and it's I get revenue, I get that, right?
Mm.
You gotta make money,
Mm.
but there's better ways to make
Oh
money
yeah.
than
Yeah.
than um than promoting these kinds of things in your game,
Yeah.
because it just ruins it.
Just leave the betting platforms, independent of, of parties affect that are directly involved in the game. You know.
For sure.
Yep.
That's definitely gonna be,
Yeah.
this definitely has to be the case. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so just leave that where it's supposed to be.